welcome to this special interview with the team of Searching for Sheela. I'm joined by Anand Sheela, of course, Director Shakun Batra, and Monica Shergill from Netflix. My first question is to Anand Sheela. We didn't hear from you for all these years, and now we are seeing a lot of you, which we're very happy about. What kept you busy for all these years?
I have been busy with my handicapped people, trying to stabilize them and offering them a home where they can feel at home. Matru Sadan, Papu Sadan are the homes I created in honor of my mother and father, which is in honor of all parents around the world.
Right. And ma'am, at what point did you decide that this story needs to be told to the world?
Whoever asks me, I tell them this story. People come and visit my home and they ask me questions about it, I tell them. But as such, that was not the decision why I came here. I came here because I was being invited by Literature Fest in Dehradun and by Humans for Humanity and Sipping Thought in Delhi had invited me to come. And it is a good opportunity to tell about my homes too, because of the concept we have is a simple, effective concept. Being there for people, and they are there for us.
Right, and what does it take to give a go-ahead to someone to tell your story to the world? Is that a tough decision?
No. I tell this story to whoever will listen, and who doesn't want to listen, they don't have to bother. It is like a flower opens up and gives its fragrance to the world. This is flower of my creativity. Whoever wants to have the fragrance, they can have it or chuck it.
So did you instantly say yes to this documentary?
I was not asked, but I assume the organizers were asked and they said yes.
Shakun, to you, the challenge here is that there's Wild Wild Country already out on Netflix. A lot of people have seen it. They know Anand Sheela's story. How is this one going to be different?
Yes, to begin with, I think everyone's, of course, seen Wild Wild Country, and I love the documentary. But this is not an investigative piece of journalism. This is not trying to investigate what had happened, the facts. I think we've known enough of it, and there's enough. If you really want to, immerse yourself in that, you can go online. You can read a lot of books. I think this documentary is really an intimate, up and close look at Sheila's journey as she revisits India after 34 years. We traveled with her, and then see where she belongs today. And at the same time, it tries to take a look at the society, and all the different point of views that we have about Sheela. The young generation that looks at her as a pop icon. Some look at her as an epitome of feminism, and some look at her as a criminal. And between all those voices, how she kind of paves a way and how she moves forward. I think this is that.
Monica, to you, a lot of people have seen Wild Wild Country on Netflix. Do you think that's a worry, or do you think that will help this documentary?
It's not a worry at all, actually, because we know that Wild Wild Country is a different, documentary series, in the sense that it has a very different objective at the heart of it. Sheela emerges as a very extraordinary figure in that. So in that sense, both are connected. The Sheela that the world got to know, is that the real Sheela? Can you separate the spirit of a person from their actions? What counts more? And what does she mean to the people right now, post Wild Wild Country? So for us, actually, at Netflix, when I got to know that Sheela was coming to India after 34 years, those were the questions that first popped in my head. And I thought that there would be so many people who've been fans of Wild Wild Country who would have the same questions in their head. So that was the motivation. but the association can only be beneficial.
Right, Monica, so what was that one thing that made Netflix greenlight this project?
Like I said, I got to actually know through a friend, and the NGOs that Sheela mentioned who were bringing her here. So a friend put us in touch, and I was very excited, and it wasn't an easy journey because I came to know just barely days prior to Sheela coming, and there were so many things to be figured out, and contacting the right people. But like I said, the questions were very much there in my mind. I knew that it would be a very, very exciting look at her journey and where she is today, more than, like Shakun rightly said, more than her past, what Wild Wild Country did to her, in the sense of how people look at her now, and to see where that's taken her, why is she coming back, all those questions. And I think I had reached out to Dharmatic and Shakun, and that's how we just, it was a mad dash to just like barely an hour before, when she came and starting to roll. So that was a very exciting part.
Right, to Ma Anand Sheela now, does this documentary tell the story of Rajneesh from your perspective, or is it more about your life when you were with him?
For me, no film tells the right perspective because it depends on the director. It is a creative work of the director who is making the film. So it is from their point of view that they are presenting the story as they see it. So I take no responsibility for it.
Shakun, you made Kapoor and Sons, which is one of my favorite movies. What is it like for a filmmaker who's made an out-and-out commercial film with mainstream stars to making a documentary? What did you have to unlearn and keep in mind?
Okay. First of all, this is not a story that's new to me. It's a story that I've known half my life. My father, my parents are Osho believers. I've grown up listening to Osho, and I've known this story since I was in my late teens. So genre doesn't matter. It's how deeply you connect with the story, and I've connected with this story very, very, very deeply. When I knew Sheela was coming and Monica reached out, and I truly agree that it was once in a lifetime opportunity of having someone revisit their home after such a long gap, and we wanted to kind of follow her and see what kind of story comes out of it. And for that, we had Amit and Shirley, who are two of my favorite non-fiction filmmakers, who are really doing a great job. And as we speak, we are still exploring the story. We are finding it, and I'm so glad because there's some serious gold and gem that we have found on this journey, and things that fiction cannot create. I've always loved stories that are not just better than fiction, but they're stranger than fiction. And I think this is one of those stories which is both. It's better than fiction, it's stranger than fiction, and given a chance to follow a story like this, I don't care what the format is. I don't care what the genre is. For me, this is a story, once in a lifetime story that you find it, then you just chase it.
Right, this one is to all of you. It's tough to get the attention of the younger audience, and everyone wants that bit of the pie. Do you think the younger audience will be interested in this story, and why?
I think younger generation, see again, younger generation will watch a lot of memes. They can do that. I don't think we can take responsibility of trying to change the story for different audience. I think there is a lot of excitement from every, if you want to call TG to watch this, just purely because it has something for everyone, and as I said, a character like Sheela who's truly lived an extraordinary life, I think we've already seen she's a pop culture amongst the 15-year-olds. Amongst the 20-year-olds, it's about the curiosity of ambition that she went out and achieved. And for 30-something, it's a look at life or what is possible, what your true potential is. And for 40s and 50s, it's really trying to understand the deeper layers of life and looking back at life.
All I'll say is that Wild Country really excited and catered to a lot of audiences across the globe, many of whom were young audiences, and they actually reached out to Sheela directly through various social media. And, honestly, for us, this was just a brilliant opportunity to look at an extraordinary character and just give another chance to the world to look at how the lines between responsibility and regret and are blurred, and how spirit and action, overlap. So basically, a very beautiful exploration of what she is as a person, a contradiction, and yet an enigma. So that's I think something that will really excite the young people.
I feel that young people would like this intensity of my life and daring of my life. They want to be in my shoes, and only way they can do it if they understand me.
Shakun, because Ma Anand Sheela is involved in this documentary, do you think this documentary will show everything as it was? Or were there some do's and don'ts that she told you before you started?
No, there are no do's and don'ts. In fact, we've just really been just taking the camera wherever we can. I think as a storyteller, I think one of the things you truly always want to do is stay as objective as you can, stay as detached as you can to a story. I don't think we are here to kind of give it a shade. And you can only the audience can judge when they watch the film. Our intent is to, as I said, just get a closer look to an extraordinary person who has fascinated the world with the documentary.
Monica, apart from India, do you see this one working in other countries as well? There must be a plan because Netflix greenlit this. Is there interest in this project internationally as well, you think?
Yes, actually, this will be a big global release simply because, the original franchise, Wild Country, had a huge following across the globe. So this is a spin-off, not a follow-up. But because Sheela is at the heart of it and this is her journey, there'll be a lot of audiences who are naturally primed for it, and we are excited about that.
Ma Anand Sheela, do you think Rajneesh's legacy will continue to live on through these documentary and various books that are out?
I hope so. The man had wonderful ideas, wonderful teachings to offer to the world. And world would be stupid if they cannot see his genius.
Ma Anand Sheela, I want to ask you, if there's a younger audience watching this, what is that one thing you want to tell them that they should always remember about Rajneesh?
His ability to analyze, his ability to express his truth to the world.
Monica, lastly to you, Wild Country reached so many places, did very well in many countries. Do you think this documentary has the potential of reaching that level?
I don't think we should compare the two at all. Wild Country was a serialized documentary, a very great work by itself. Like I said, this is on a part of it, a person who was at the center of it, who emerged as someone who was controversial and yet, got a lot of fan following. So there is actually no comparison between the two, and I wouldn't at all want that to happen.
Yeah.
This is a separate, look at Sheela's journey, and it should be seen as that.
Yeah, apples and oranges,
Yes.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same
As
at all.
much, as I said, as much as I love, and I can see that that's the first thing that comes to people's mind is like, oh, Wild Country, and then now this. As much as you think like that, I think only when you watch it, you realize that this
realize
is
they're very
not,
different.
this is not about the scandal.
Yes.
This is not about dissecting that little event that, not little event, but that event that happened. This is just trying to bring you closer to the person who was at the center of Wild Wild Country and trying to understand her in more totality. You see, in Wild Wild Country, you see a few shots of a young life and you see interviews in a little frame that you're looking at this person, and through what she's saying, we're trying to make judgments, and through what we are seeing, we're trying to understand her. And this gives you a broader scope. This gives you a broader scope of understanding her as she travels down a country where she grew up. And she's revisiting after 34 years. What are the memories that comes to a person like that? What are the things that play on her mind? How does the society perceive someone like her? What is her reaction to the society? And I think all these different layers actually make for a more fascinating watch.
Monica Shergill, Shakun Batra, Anand Sheela, thank you so much for your time. Hope this does very well for your audience.
Thank you.
Thanks guys for watching my interview. Hope you enjoyed watching this. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss all the latest videos, and share this with your friends if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.